what you're trying to get out of the way you're constructing your lineups. I've asked this a million times, but what's your strategy there for these last, 12?
Obviously, we're still trying to obviously win games. So I'm trying to put it to where we have the best chance. You get the left, right. A lot of these teams have good lefties. So, but that being said, it's like, I'm trying to obviously get these guys at bats. I know Eli hasn't played the last couple games, but just trying to figure out how to get as many at bats with these guys while giving the guys that I want to see more. They're obviously some of these guys are playing every day. Like Taveras and probably Tejeda for the most part. And like I said, keeping Kiner at third base, puts us in a little dilemma just because I can't really move too many guys around. So just trying to keep these guys, give them as much of a look as I can. But as far as lineup construction, I think it's, still putting the best guys, I think, at the top, best chance to piece together runs.
Okay, is it just me or is your voice extra deep right now? Do you hear that? It sounds really deep. Okay, what about, sorry. Yeah. What's going on?
Like this now. I don't know.
And what about order? So position's one thing, but what about their, place, where they're hitting? Is there anything to that where you want to see guys in certain situations, or do you feel like, there are only a few spots?
No, I don't think it's, listen, I know I'm not really placing that much in. I obviously want to win. So, wherever I put them in the order is the order I feel like against that pitcher or against whoever that I think we're going to have the best chance to win a game. They're going to get their bats. I think some of these guys, maybe putting them a little higher at times just to challenge them to see how they do. Putting Kiner in a 3-hole, I want to see if he changes or he doesn't change. And, I know I've hit him pretty much second for a while now. But moving him to the 3-hole, some guys get a little bit, okay, I got to do more. Or, if I get moved down, does that change anything? I just want to see quality. Honestly, that's where we're at right now, and see him play, which we have been.
And it's kind of a similar question for the bullpen. Are there certain situations you want to see these young guys in, and we'll base your decisions on that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the back end guys, the Montero, Hernandez, and obviously Brett Martin now, they're gonna pitch the back end in close games. I think it's important for all three of those guys. I know Montero's a little bit older, but being a closer, every chance I can, I'm going to put him in that spot, just because I want him to get as much experience in that. Having done it until this year. And Jonathan, he's off a great year, and Brett, he was out for a little bit, so getting him those opportunities is huge. But yeah, some of the other guys, absolutely. I want to see him, we're up one or down one, 5, 6, 7, whatever the inning is, putting him in tough spots. I think, it's good because some guys are down on a day-to-day basis, so we're forced to kind of use guys at certain spots. So any chance you can get them in those, it's a good challenge for them, and it's a good, measuring stick for us to see how they handle it.
Okay, that's it for me, and I will say your voice went back to normal.
Questions, Chris, by opening day next year, do the Texas Rangers need to have decided on one position for Nick Solak?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a chance he could, because kind of right now, you look at him at second, he can play left. It helps. It helps to have a little versatility. If we do, we do. If he has one spot, great. But I think, him having a little bit of versatility helps. I still think his best position might be left field. But he actually has really impressed me at second base. He's made all the plays, and he's done a good job, and actually made some really difficult plays that, maybe I didn't, not that I didn't expect, but, he's done a good job of it.
Not focusing on Solak specifically, but in generally, do you ever feel like the emphasis on versatility impedes offensive progress for players?
Impedes offensive progress? I don't think so. I mean, at times it could be, listen, you got to focus on both sides of the ball. I don't think, if they have to read a book at night, that's going to affect their ability to play baseball games. So, I mean, I think, that's part of the game. That's part of the game. You have to, a lot of guys have made a living doing that. Ask Ben Jobris, like he's done it his whole career. So I don't think so. I think, especially with Nick, I think there's, he puts a lot of effort into everything he does, and including the offensive side. So I don't think so. It may for some guys, but I don't
Like, I'm thinking of Josh Jung. I know they've played him in multiple positions down in alternate camp, or they say they have. Obviously, I haven't been down there. But, I mean, this guy was drafted for his bat. I'm just wondering, wouldn't it just be better to lock him into one spot and let the bat develop rather than have him worry about multiple positions?
Yeah, but I don't think him doing, maybe more work at a position is going to take away from his progress as a hitter. I think they're two separate things that players, just because I'm focusing on, working at second or third, once that's done and then, my work is done there and I go into the cage, I'm not thinking about playing second base or third base. I'm still focusing on my bat. I don't think that ever stops. And that's why there's plenty of time in the day to get exactly what you need done on the offensive side. So I don't think it's getting in the way of anything. I think it just adds more flexibility to us as an organization. But you look at Josh Jung, probably third base. I saw him play a little bit of second base over on the alternate site. I still think third's probably his spot. But, the fact that he maybe can go over to second or go to first helps, just in case something happens at our level. If he comes up and he can play those positions, it helps us. It helps maybe get him the lineup as well.
Next question. Alex.
Cody, normally when guys make their major league debuts, they have to deal with not only the pressures on the field, but the ballpark atmosphere. This year, they're not dealing with that. Do you view that as maybe a plus or a minus in the development of these young players within the majors as they go along in their careers?
I think this year's the easiest, especially for, you look at pitchers in this ballpark, in particular. You don't have to deal with the fans, because the fans here can get pretty rowdy and get pretty loud. I mean, this place gets loud when there's a lot of fans. So I think it helps this year. I think it's a negative maybe for next year because they haven't had to deal with it. I'm a little bit concerned about that. A lot of these guys have told me personally that they would rather have fans and they would rather have that experience of they feed off of that they haven't had to play in front of 50,000 people, yelling at them in the sixth inning of a one-run game. So until they've had to actually go through that, I think they're just telling me that because that's what they feel like they would rather have the fans. So I don't know. I mean, next year is going to be, hopefully we have them back and we can but this year I think helps to get some of these guys, especially that haven't played above A ball or played above, it's got to help them in some way to just kind of relax out there and, not have to deal with the rowdiness of the crowd.
Thanks, Woody.
Jeff.
I'm sure this is a long answer coming, but what primarily is an A-ball player missing?
A-ball player missing?
Yes. What is he missing from being a major leaguer?
I think just the experience level of a better competition. I think, as a pitcher, you're facing better hitters. Like, you don't chase as much. I think every step that you go up, there's, in A-ball, there's maybe one hitter that's a big leaguer, potentially at the moment. And then you get to AA, AAA, and then there's 3 or 4, and then there's, 5 or 6, maybe at the AAA level. And then you get to the big leagues, and it's basically 1 through 9 that are better than you've ever faced. So, talking to our guys that have, Kyle Cody, it's like, man, because he's got good command. He can throw the ball in the strike zone or he can throw the ball just out. So his biggest thing was, man, I'm throwing some pitches that are really good strike to ball pitches that they're not even budging on. That in the past, guys swung at. He can make the adjustment a lot of times. And he's struggled a little bit with his command at times, but he's able to do that. Other A-ball pitchers probably aren't able to think that rationally and be able to execute. That's why you get the wide misses and, it starts to snowball on them. As a hitter, I think you're just facing quality pitching. Nowadays, I think in A-ball, you're still facing guys that throw 95 to 100 pretty regularly. So it's the velo's there, but the execution's not. being able to pitch off of 2 different pitches. If they throw the high fastball with the breaking ball, the higher up you get, the double A, triple A, you still get guys that can execute. In the big leagues, they executed a lot more. So it's just the level of, honestly, it's the level of competition and the consistency of that competition that, typically will, if a guy has a pitch above A ball, will suffocate him a little bit. And that's kind of the word I like to use when it comes to pitchers that can't handle it. They just get a little bit suffocated and they know they have to, and they end up making mistakes in the middle of the zone or really wide.
Okay, thanks.
A couple more. Rick?
Hey, Woody, outside of Nick Solak, all the rookies that you have played, who do you think is most major league ready and has the best chance of actually playing on opening day next year?
Probably Leody Taveras. I mean, just based on his, like I said, the quality of his game. He can obviously man center field just about as good as anybody in the big league, so that's a huge plus. But he can do that, not hit at all, and still be valuable. His speed, the way he runs the bases, I think is a huge asset. And obviously, you got to get on base, but the way he works, the strike zone, I think is a huge plus for a younger player. He's able to, even if he's not hitting, even if he's not getting hits, he's still going to work some counts and get on base, be able to walk, which is very rare for a younger player, especially at his age. So you factor all that in, man. Once he starts getting the swing to be more consistent, putting balls forward in the zone, then you can start to really take off.
Has any of the young guys surprised you just getting to see them in these major league kind of conditions?
I think they all have, to be honest with you. I've heard a lot of good things about him, and was really eager to get him out there. A little bit nervous at times, just to think, okay, how is this going to go? But I think Tejeda kind of has surprised me, just from a maturity standpoint. He's still pretty raw, but he's a lot more mature than I gave him credit for, and open and to dialogue, and just hearing his conversations. That kind of surprised me. I knew there was no fear in the kid. I knew he was going to have no fear stepping on the field and playing, but just his willingness to work and talk through the game, even during the game. I haven't seen him with the deer in the headlight look yet, which is pretty rare for a young kid, man. It's hard to find that. So I think he probably stands out the most as far as surprise goes.
Thanks, Woody. Appreciate it.
Evan? Last one, Evan.
Chris, when you look out there on the horizon, what do you see for the future of the Rangers-Astros? I don't want to call it rivalry, but series.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, we've kind of, as an organization, dug into their organization a little bit just to see where they're going to go. It depends. It depends on what they do. I don't know what they're going to do. I know kind of the direction we're going. We kind of resemble who they were, in those earlier days. When Altuve's and Springer's first got called up, and Nick Correa's, you can start to see their team kind of building towards that. So they obviously added a lot of pieces, free agency with Verlander or trades. So they improved their ball club. They added pieces to that, but their core was kind of there. So that's kind of the way I look at our team. So I don't know where they're going to go, if they're going to keep adding pieces or they're going to dismantle a little bit. I mean, that kind of remains to be seen. But if they dismantle it, then we'll be a little bit more on even playing field.
Their core seems to be like Correa, Altuve, Springer, and Bregman, right? Okay.
Springer, I don't know if he's coming back. He might sign elsewhere. Correa, I don't know when he's gonna. So I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen, I guess.
On a different subject, I just want to double check on this. Is Huff calling his own games?
Yeah.
Nothing from the bench there.
No, not at all. I mean, that's one thing I don't. I've been on teams in the past that did that, and just stifles the development and learning. He's got to be able to handle that. He does. He puts enough work in. It's a tireless worker. He's constantly reading the reports.
Lose the sound again.
Yeah, it's not good.
Can we get closer to the microphone?
There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm drifting away. No, he does all his own work, honestly. He does a lot of work. He obviously talks to Julio and our coaches and Brett Hayes, but he does a ton of work on his own. And constantly talking about that on the bench in between the game, even when he's not starting. He's obviously doing a bunch of exercises, trying to figure out what he would call. And on the, even when he's not, like tonight, he'll be sitting next to somebody. Hey, I call a slider here. I do this right here. Set up this pitch. So he's constantly doing that. So we want to develop that. But if we were to stifle that in a game by calling pitches for him, it would set him back. I just don't believe it.
And then the last thing for me, on White, there's nothing physically wrong. It's just the number of right-handers in a row you faced, or is there something he's working on?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's definitely working. And I know that the last couple games, he hasn't played, but I know he's been working on it. So, the right-handers, obviously, he'll play tomorrow for sure. And then obviously against Haney for sure. And I'm trying to get him in there for some righties as well. Take it day by day. But, yeah, he's fine.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much.
Hey, Emily.
Hey, Woody.
Yeah.
What can you say about what Kyle did tonight?
Wow. Yeah, I thought a lot of the adjustments he talked about, kind of leading into the start, I was really, I don't know, I was really anxious to see how this start was going to go. Just, talking about some of the mechanical stuff, using his legs more, and then the mentality change of, maybe attacking the strike zone more with all his pitches in the strike zone. And his last bullpen went really well. And that's, who it was like, hey man, if he pitches like he did in the bullpen, that's what we want to see. So I was really intrigued. Just, okay, let's see what this looks like. Let's see how this plays out. In the first inning, obviously walked a couple guys, but I felt like even then the misses were better. They weren't ball out of hand misses. They were kind of, they just didn't get some of the calls and, off the edge, but they weren't, easy takes. So, and then after that, I mean, you guys saw it. I mean, it was, a lot of balls not hit hard, executing pitches, got some chase, even when the chase pitches were more, close to the strike zone, which is what we're trying to get him to do. And that all started by throwing the ball over the plate, with all of his stuff. So, I mean, it doesn't always work out that way when you think about making an adjustment and making multiple adjustments and to see it play out like that. But that's kind of why, obviously, at the end of the game, I felt like, man, this guy's earned it. He's, the only thing I was worried about physically was that he hadn't had that many ups. He hadn't gotten into the ninth inning, obviously to that point. So I was worried about him physically a little bit, but he did a good job of convincing me that he was fine.
So when did the conversation or the decision get made that he would go back out for the ninth? Because the top of the ninth was the top of the ninth was long.
Yeah, I mean, there were some other decisions, I think, in the top of the eighth that I could have made, but I chose to I told our guys at that point, this is Gibby's game. I'm not messing with it. Like, he's throwing the ball too well. He's earned it. It's up to our offense to find a way to score a run for him. So when he went out, got through the eighth inning, I just asked him how he was feeling. I said, I kind of want to take you out, but I just want to know that you're feeling fine physically. And if you are, I'll send you back out there. And he said he felt fine. Obviously with 90-something pitches at that point. But I guess the decision after that was if somebody got on. I think if nobody was on or nobody was out or one out, I probably would have went out and got him. But with two outs right there, I felt like he was going to be able to get through it at that point.
So did you go out with the intent to take him out or just to talk to him?
I was kind of 50-50. To be honest with you, I was kind of 50-50. I kind of wanted to hear it from him. I wanted to kind of look in his eyes and see what he looked like. If he was expecting me to take him out, I was kind of watching him as I walked out there. That would have kind of given me some indication that he was kind of done. But he did a good acting job and told me he was great and felt 100%. But at that point, like I said, it's if it's a different scenario, maybe I'd do something different. But right there, it's his game here.
We talk about how important these games are for the younger players, but to have performances like this and to play games like this, those are just as important for veterans, aren't they?
No, absolutely. He's a big part of our for 3 years. So, this is a big stretch for him, trying to sort some things out. And, Gibby's like he said, he's very open to trying to figure things out. He hasn't had a lot of success before this, in kind of solving some of that. And I think the mentality change was kind of the key. I think there were some physical things that helped him, but I think the mentality change was everything. And for him to have a start like this, hopefully have another one or two to kind of go with it would be really nice. finish on for him, knowing that he can go into next year and the year after that, pitching well for us.
Gonna take a few more. Kyle's ready, so a couple more for Woody, Jeff, and then Levi.
Offensively in the ninth, what does that hit do for Joey? And then secondly, how much was Leody's speed a factor in that inning?
Yeah, the speed was a huge factor. I think if anybody else is running, it's a pretty easy play. Just pick the ball up and tag first base. But his speed obviously caused havoc right there. Joey, I think that was a big at bat. He's he's had his struggles at times, but to come through in that spot, stay through a breaking ball like that at the bottom of the zone, keep it fair. As soon as he hit it, I thought it for sure was going to be an inch foul, but the baseball guys were with us right there and did the right thing. And that's just it's a big moment for him. Obviously, everybody was pulling for Gibby, and sometimes when you get a pitcher that's throwing that well, you feel bad as an offensive player because you feel like you're letting him down because he's gone pretty much 8 scoreless. But like I said, I think the baseball guys were with us on that one, and obviously Gibby earned it.
Thank you.
Levi, last question.
First, a real quick question. Are you going with an opener tomorrow or is he starting?
No, we're just going to go straight up. I know we got a full bullpen, but we're going to let Lyle start it.
Okay. And then I hope this isn't too long or going to too long an answer, but Joey mentioned how, some of the younger guys, they're calm and the way that they're playing as they've come up to the big leagues has kind of been a good influence on some of the veterans. He mentioned himself, like it's calming him down a little bit and helping him be maybe a little less anxious. Are you seeing that, manager? Is that something that you're kind of wanting to help prompt, or is it a natural thing, or what are you seeing there?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, that's kind of the atmosphere that I would love to provide these guys when they come up. I don't want them to be too comfortable where they're they feel like they've already belonged when they haven't earned anything. I'm not afraid to tell them that, but at the same time, I want them to be free to compete. They put in the work, they put in the time, the effort in their routines before the game, and their ground balls, and their batting practice, and their cage work. That allows them, and I've said this many times to them, as long as you do those things and you can go out and compete, and we can talk about the game during the game and discuss things that happen afterwards, and like discuss situations, and but when you're competing, when you're between those white lines, you should be free, and that's kind of the philosophy that I've tried to instill in these guys, and from a younger player, like there shouldn't be a stress level where they can't go out and compete. In the clubhouse, there's obviously different things that they need to abide by and be respectful of, but when they're on that field, man, they need to be free to do their thing, and all that work that they do prior allows them that opportunity. As long as they're doing that, if they're not doing the work, then obviously they get told, hey man, you got to get after it a little bit more. You got to prepare a little better. But that makes me happy to hear that, and that's kind of where we're trying to get Joey at the same time. Because I know that he's said that to me many times. Last year where he felt always kind of stressed out, and it's like we shouldn't be stressed between the white lines as long as you're doing everything outside of the white lines that you're supposed to do to prepare for the game. So it's good for Joey to obviously get that big hit and contribute, because I know he'll sleep better than that.
Thank you.